Welcome back, Bills Mafia. It's not your usual Wake Jockins here. It's me, Maniac, but I am here with the usual suspects on the Crowd Assist podcast. You know me, the CAP. It's your man, Merekat. It's our friend, Jake Majka. Gents, how are we doing tonight?
Living large. That's all we can say.
Living large. Love to hear that. You know, I'm living pretty large too. It was a good day. Just a good day. It was my dog's birthday. Shout out Dakota, 8 years old today. Just finished the second half of her cake, gone in seconds. $35 for a dog's cake. Absurd, but she loved it, so it's okay. And 2-year anniversary with Trainwreck Sports. I don't know if it's like the exact date, but according to Al, my LinkedIn says it is. So let's go. I haven't been on LinkedIn probably since I updated that. But shout out to the Train boys.
Hey, LinkedIn is also official.
It is all year anniversary of the creation of the Happy Hour Hoops Twitter. So I think it's the 2-year anniversary officially of Happy Hour Hoops. Look at that look at that
incredible
synchronicity that we
just
have
a great
here
day.
Going into this. What a
day.
Day.
That was a big foundational day for Trainwreck. Obviously, David, both of you kind of launched on the brand, and obviously look at where it's led to you. Obviously, the flagship show here for the Bills. And in a year now, July 14th, 2022, we kind of get into it. We were talking about it in the pre-show. Not very much going on with the team. I think when you have, a contender that's looking to get into the top tier, or when you're looking at that middling playoff team, obviously there are a lot more storylines. Being the Super Bowl favorite, again, not to get cocky, but it seems things are more set in stone, boys.
100%.
Eerily too quiet.
Yeah, it's crazy. When there's nothing going on, like we're still not arguing things that don't matter for another month or two, and like we're feeling good. We're Super Bowl favorites. We're just enjoying watching our quarterback ride horses on vacation and play golf with other quarterbacks. Like, what a time to be alive as a Bills fan.
Yeah, it's like you said, eerily too quiet. But literally the only people playing football are the Rochester Americans right now. That's how quiet football season is at the moment. So I'm sure that all the guys are having a great time in like Turks or whatever other islands that they're vacationing on for the next 2 weeks. But training camp's right around the corner. The buzz, like the week leading up to training camp, is so much fun once you start getting the interviews and everybody kind of starts shifting into full gear, because we're like, even though training camp, we're just talking about practices, everybody's just so excited to see guys in pads there. So it's right around the corner. This is the absolute dead period. We got the All-Star game coming up and everything, but yeah, I think a lot of nerves just to wait to see how, because there's a lot of big storylines that are going to play out in training camp right when it starts that everybody's going to be talking about.
And when things are more steady, when there are less, craziness going on with the team, it leads to obvious craziness elsewhere. When you have a fan base as rabid as Bills Mafia, and that leads to training camp ticket master catastrophe. Absolute nonsense. Lines going crazy. People not being able to get what they want. But you know where you can go and actually get what you want and not very long lines? Your neighborhood outlet liquor, your place to buy a case. But let's get into this.
Wow.
Merekat, did you get in? Were you in the queue at Ticketmaster at all? Did you try and get these things? I mean, because by the time I saw it on Twitter, it was already in like the thousands, and it just seemed hopeless.
Yeah, I attempted it once. I had a busy day at work. I went in. It took a good 5 minutes to even see anything with the loading. Just crashed. I was just like, this isn't going to work. I looked it up on Twitter. I just searched Bills tickets. People were not happy. So I just said, I'm not dealing with this. Now we have the full story coming out. It was just crashing. The highly anticipated, before you can go to training camp with tickets you grabbed at NOCO. And right before you
Where
leave.
were these days? Am I crazy, or did you not be able to just recycle a Coke can and get training camp?
Yes, literally.
Yes.
It was the Darien Lake discount. It's you
ridiculous.
Want $10 off at Darien Lake, or do you want free Bills training camp tickets?
Unbelievable. Michael, were you in that queue? It seemed like absolute nonsense. It reminded me of the Mean Girls scene in the school when everyone's just ripping at each other and everyone just fighting for superiority.
No, it was chaos, bro. I've never seen, yes, he is. Merekat is the GOAT. I've never seen any. I literally just logged on to Twitter, just a normal day, not anticipating anything. And all of a sudden, just the flood of tweets at Ticketmaster. Like you said, bro, I can't believe it's such a hot ticket. It's it's baffling to me that, I mean, not baffling at all. I guess it makes sense. It's a hot ticket. Like we can have like scalpers out at St. John Fisher, just like kids trying to get it. So
I do not doubt that with
jumping fences, like just people
your
like
closest interactions you're gonna get with these guys. Like I bet half of these guys too will end up going are gonna be like adult autograph seekers, not great people. And it's just like
the autograph culture, though. And you have a lot of insight into that, obviously, with your David and background. For the most part, when I see it now, it's almost as though if someone's over 25, an athlete's not signing for them. That from what I see, I think like they'll go to crowds and obviously they'll sign for kids. I mean, I'm watching the Allen and Poyer footage from the Micah High charity softball game. I mean, they're signing out the wazoo for everybody. But it seems to me like athletes specifically target not signing for people 25 and above. Do you see that like as a tendency, like way more than obviously like 5 to 8 years ago?
It's like at an event like that, you're gonna see them definitely like favoring the kids. That's your job as an athlete, you know. Like you see Josh Allen playing catch with the kids; he's doing everything for the kids. When you got a guy, you know, my age, older, trying to get autographs, you're kind of assuming it's just a resell. I mean, I would be a guy; I'd be an adult autograph seeker for collecting purposes, not for resale. But most of these guys, you just have to assume are out for the money for that type of stuff. You don't have unlimited time to sign everything. It's got to be the kids first.
Yeah, I've it's never even a thought that's come across to me since I don't even know, across a certain age where I've just never even thought about autographs, paying for autographs, anything like that. And I'm assuming that that's going to be a lot of the crowd, but good on these guys, like just turning people down too, just being like, no, that's okay. Like you see so many videos of that all the time now and everything. And I'm glad that everybody is trying to set the boundaries, because it's crazy. Like the things that some of these people have to go through to like just living their everyday lives and people coming up to them. I just think about that all the time. Like if I was to see, I've never been someone who's been like starstruck anytime I've ever seen anything. I understand how you would, but there's still just like, I don't know, a certain way you have to act in those scenarios. So I hope that it's just, you know, they do some stuff, get the kids nights in, try to like weed that out and make it a good family fun experience for the whole time.
Yeah, it's funny. So you'll have like a big placard of like signings and they're just going for it and they'll just dodge like the old guy's arm and they'll like go like, so there's a finesse to it for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. So speaking of finessing, boys, anything else in our State of the Bills here before we get into our main event, the Bills 2022 villain draft, 4 rounds each. We will be picking our villains for 2022 for the season, beyond, postseason, etc. But anything else on the SOTB?
Things are good, man. Things
it
are
is.
good.
This is just how it is, right? Like when your main concern is if you're going to be able to sign, you know, your all-pro safety to an extension to keep him happy. Like that's like, you know, you're in a good state, right? You're in a good state of mind. For sure. Okay, and speaking of a good state of mind.
Oh, wow.
For the Bills villain draft.
Let's go.
Now, we have not determined yet an order, I believe. Would I be correct?
No,
I don't think so.
I hate to do this because I know it's obviously become super popular on the Yak, but I figure we might as well just defer to the wheel.
The wheel is just.
It is. It's the most fair thing we could do.
Okay, so with that said, we will allow a free ad on top of our outlet liquor here. Free ad for Chimerland, the Survivor open world game.
Let's go.
So we will do. We'll do
Amazing.
a reverse. We'll do a reverse order. I'm assuming, right? 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So this is for the 3rd overall pick in our villains draft, and it's looking like it's gonna be me.
All right.
Okay.
You get the turn.
I get the turn. I'll get 2 picks in a row. I'll get 3rd and 4th. Unfortunately, I will not get the ultimate villain of all time, but that's okay. Now let's remove me, and it's down to heads up. Merekat, Micah, Merekat. Oh, should we do 2 out of 3?
Let's do 2 out of 3.
Okay, 2 out of 3. For the first
As it lands
pick,
on me.
For the first overall pick.
I know.
That's how you want to talk about just. The wheel is just. Merekat has
just.
won. Will he get the 2nd to clinch the first overall pick here?
I'm a huge fan of the wheel. Do me right.
Oh! And it looks
Oh,
like
no.
Okay, so Merekat with the 1st overall pick in our villain draft. Micah will get number 2. That was pretty exciting. I got to give props where it's due. But gents, this is it.
Shout the wheel.
We have time for our first overall pick. Merekat, the floor is yours, sir. You're on the clock.
I hate to do it. You have to do it. I feel like we talked about this before, there's a clear A tier of guys here, a handful. I think this is the lone S tier guy on the list for Bills Mafia villains heading into this season. I'm going with it's an all-time villain. It's not just this season. I know we don't have the regular season matchup against him, but it is still Tom Brady to me. I am taking Tom Brady, number 1 overall. Josh cannot overcome this guy in his career. We saw it last year. We saw it on the golf course. We've seen it on the field. He's been our boogeyman for decades now, and it just doesn't stop, even when he leaves New England. I think if the NFL is just, which the NFL makes things happen, I think the Buccaneers might be in the Super Bowl this year. Tom Brady's farewell. Josh Allen, the Bills, I think they're going to be in the Super Bowl. Give me Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Super Bowl, ultimate villain, finally dethroning him. Batman versus Joker. Let's go. Tom Brady, number 1 overall.
I give you credit just before Mikey gets into his. I mean, not only is this a slam dunk on the fact of, what he's done in the past, obviously as the track record speaks for itself, but right now on the precipice of a Super Bowl favorite, mathematically, he's what stands in your way as the second favorite. So it's
publicly chirping Josh,
he's in his head.
Now
he's
on
in his
Twitter,
head.
on national television. This is going to happen. We're going to see Josh Allen.
Brady's got nothing to lose. That's the dangerous thing about him right now. Nothing to lose, and that makes a villain more dangerous than anything.
100%. So is Brady the Joker in this scenario then?
Yes. 1,000%.
Joker's the Joker. That's a scary world. If the Joker.
He's teasing Josh about baby fat. We're trying to win a Super Bowl.
It's just games with him. All right, my number 2 is pretty easy then, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to be a surprise for you guys. Maybe not. But I think it's a long play that is going to hurt us in the end. We've seen the pictures. We've seen the bromance developing. It's Pat Mahomes. He is setting Josh Allen up with the long mental. This is the Kobe-esque mental game where he is becoming his best friend. They're going to be buddy, and then when it comes divisional round 2023, he's going to have every edge in some way. Mahomes is the most competitive guy, one of the most competitive guys I've seen in the NFL quarterback position. Just everything he does, every story you hear about him, he doesn't like to lose anything, doesn't do it. He sees this as his biggest threat, obviously, in Josh coming so close the last 2 years and everything else. It's just too good to be true, bro. It's been too public. It's been too buddy. I think he's coming. It's like we're in like the part of a Thor movie where Loki is buddies with Thor. Josh Allen is Thor in this scenario, and we know the turn's coming.
To be likable, 100%.
Yes, and we're falling for it. We love him. We're like, man, we really like Loki.
It's a great comparison.
No, we're not falling for it. Josh is falling for it. Thor is falling for it, which is the problem.
That's true.
I want Josh to hate him. I think it's cool when they're buddy, the 2 best quarterbacks and the AFC best friends, all that. But, I want him to hate him. I don't want this, friendship factor on the field. Now, we didn't see it hold Josh back last year, but they're only getting closer. And Mahomes, he's married to Brittany and related to Jackson. Those are just bad things, villainous things.
We do have the
villainous acts in themselves.
Absolutely. No, and the thing is, what would I say? And it's a funny thing, right? Because if you had told a Bills fan, it's one of those things 5 years ago, your quarterback will be top 2, top 3 in the league, no debate, obviously, when you put Rodgers into the conversation, and he'll be buddy with the other top quarterbacks. It sounds good on paper. And then you're in it, and you're like, I don't like them sitting together, on the back of that pickup truck at
kicking their heels up and shit.
Whatever.
What's going on here?
Exactly. Okay, well, obviously, you guys took out 2 monsters, and this is where I think you see the first significant drop-off, because obviously Mahomes has the history, he has the future threat. Brady has the history, he has the future threat. So with that said, I am going to do my best to emanate that pick. Villainous for this season, someone who's already talking. Right now, the Bills have a pretty clear path in the AFC East. They're minus 200. Basically, if you bet $2, you're going to win $1. But there are still some threats out there in the Dolphins and Patriots at plus 400 to plus 500, depending on where you're looking. So with that said, I'm going to go on a guy who has terrorized the Bills in the past, but now could terrorize them in the future. Tyreek Hill.
Mm.
I know it's going to be a lot different
that's a
without
good
the
one.
Kelsey factor, without the Mahomes factor. It'll be very interesting to see. But here's the way I look at it right now. I wasn't scared of Tua turn the ball over, okay? I was totally fine with him. Now, he has a deep threat where he could bail him out. I mean, yeah, and I give credit. Jalen Waddle was good last year. They got Gesicki. They got some weapons. Like, I'm not saying that Tagovailoa sucks, but the thing about him was when he said the NFL was easy, like 4 games in, like, and he hasn't beaten the Bills since. So I know that he has that chip on his shoulder, or as the kids say in this week on the internet, he has that dog in him. And I'm worried that potentially Tyreek Hill could bring it out. Because I know that watching him meme himself throwing to open receivers, Tua's not going to do it on his own. So Tyreek obviously is a big part of that. Let me just put in my next pick here.
That's a great pick.
There were guys
Look,
I clearly
it's
missed
tough
on my
to drop
board.
off. It's going to be very subjective as it goes. And of course, next, I got to go with the other thing. I got to box out. I got to solidify my position. It's almost like a handcuff when you're drafting right back. I got the Dolphins taken care of. I can go with 2 at this point, but again, I'm going to go with the past history and the present day threat. I'm going to select Bill Belichick 4th overall. He's dominated the Bills. Obviously, I can't say this enough. It is not the same without Tom Brady. Brady bailed him out in so many of those games. It's clearly obvious at this point that there were times where the Dick Duran Bills would have beat the Patriots. The Changaley Bills would have beat the Patriots. There were times where that actually would have happened. The Mike Mularkey Bills would have beat the Patriots. But when you factor in, Belichick's defensive prowess mixed with Brady's clutch gene and his ability to win and the output, it was just a terrorizing decade and a half for Bills fans. But with that said, you think it was over, but then they come in on that Monday Night Football game last year, and they do something that nobody's ever done. They didn't throw the ball or whatever. Now, I will say that McDermott got his revenge. They went to New England. They absolutely trampled them. They played a great offensive game in New England, and then they had the perfect game in the playoffs. So obviously, they've gotten the better of him lately. But yes, Belichick is still that, it's kind of hard to put him in a Marvel spot, but he's always lingering, and he occasionally, very occasionally, picks up a W. So I'm going to round out my turn with Tyreek Hill and Bill Belichick. Micah, number 5 pick. What are you thinking?
That's a great pick as well. I was hoping that one of those 2 would fall there, but I figured you would be all over that. I knew you'd be all over Bill Belichick. I was surprised by Tyreek Hill. I'm going with not a human being at this point. Going completely off the board here. The one thing that, and this is more for Bills fans, but I'm sure everybody in the Bills is going to be following it the entire year, every single game. My number 2 villain pick is coin tosses.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know how much we're going to be tracking coin tosses? Like Josh Allen's record is going to be a tweet that gets sent around, and we're going to do it. We should probably do it too. That's going to be sent around every single game. And if there's overtime ones, don't even get me started. But Twitter just burns down every time. So coin toss is number 2 for this year.
Kudos, dangerous pick right there, but I agree. As of right now, no doubt, in the present day, a top 3 villain in the Bills sphere.
It's just laying there.
Great pick. Not even on my board. I can't believe it.
Same. I agree.
Gross oversight.
It hit me like a brick wall when you said
it. So do I go back to back here then?
Yep.
All right. So this is a guy I considered, if I was picked 2 or 3, I think might have been my pick. He's my 3rd on my draft board behind Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. We're excited to get the value here. We're going with Nick Wright. I know this is cliche, but he is the OG Josh Allen hater, prominent media guy. Last year we saw a lot more big media guys, using Bills Mafia to fuel engagement, hating on Josh Allen stuff, even though they don't believe in it, so they'd get cheap interaction. There's going to be way more of that this year. We're already seeing it just in the offseason, but the OG bozo is Nick Wright, and he's going to have a field day if the Bills misstep even a bit. And not getting in anything bad, or not that I think this, but the Bills have a tough beginning of their schedule. The Bills misstep a little bit early on. We are going to be buried with it, and Nick Wright's going to be leading the charge. So just off of, being the OG guy and how much he's going to lead the pack this year, if anything bad happens, Nick Wright's there for me. Shout out to him. I have him blocked, but I'm not going to lie, checking on my burner. I can't get enough. I want the hate. I want to hate him. I want him to hate us. It's just a lot of hate going on. I got a lot of love, but Nick Wright, You're my conduit of hate, buddy. And then next, we are going with ticket prices. We saw it start to happen last year, especially in the playoffs. We're seeing it with season ticket prices. Everything is, and the pre-sales this year were significantly higher. During the season, if you don't have season tickets, if you don't pre-order on games, you are going to be in trouble. I think we saw it a bit today with people going crazy for training camp tickets during the season. I think long gone are the days of morning of buying a $5 ticket on SeatGeek or something online and getting in the game. I think those tickets that used to be $5 are now going to be $20 to $50. I mean, it's going to be, the more the Bills win, the more we're going to pay the price of being elite, literally.
Currently at the home opener, looking about an average of $200 for a ticket in the 300s. So
absurd.
I will agree. That's a great pick. Ticket prices. Oh, we got to misspell them, but that's okay. Ticket prices 7 overall for the Cat. Okay, so now we're back to Mr. Micah.
This is where it gets tough for me. We've got the big hitters. Nick Wright was my last A guy on the board there. I figured Mir was going to get it back around to him. I think this one is going to feel special to our hearts as degenerates. It's odds makers or sports books. How can we put this? Because the Bills fans, Bills Mafia that just want to bet on the Bills every week, want to put these futures down, everything else. This is finally the year where it does not make sense to do it. Like, I've been putting, how many years in a row have you put a Bills Super Bowl bet down and it was at plus 50,000 or plus 50,000, whatever. And you're just like, but maybe this is the year. We're no longer the case. Every game is going to be miserable. And am I still going to put the minus 180 Bills in everything, or the minus 230 Bills in everything? Yes. So I think this is a Bills Mafia degenerate pick. The lines makers are going to make us angry. They're only, what are they? Only a dog in one game right now, I'm pretty sure. Looking ahead to the season.
Yeah. I think one or two at most. I think Bengals maybe, and then they start. I think Rams and Bengals were the only two, and obviously they're only a point or two in each.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my pick there.
Lines makers. You boys, hey, I'll give you credit. Those were some great there. My board is looking a little bland. My board's looking like some mayonnaise compared to some of your picks. But with that said, I am gonna go with, for where are we at now? 9 overall as we come to me on the turn with my 3rd round pick here in the Villains draft on the Crowd Assist podcast. I am going to go with, I was thinking between two here, and I'm stalling for my second pick primarily, but I'm going to go with Mike Rabel, number 9 overall. This is a surprising pick. One. I know a lot of people are probably like, what the hell? Mike Rabel's kind of had the Bills' number a little bit. I think they kind of Josh Allen fluked a game against them in 2018. And let's face it, if the Bills do lose to the defending Super Bowl champions and go on one, like you alluded to, Merekat, that is going to be a very, very, very challenging game. Well, either way, whether they win or lose, it's going to be a very, very more important game if the Bills lose and are 0-1 at that point. I mean, if you're at 0-2 with Super Bowl aspirations, mathematics say that's not adding up. So obviously Mike Rabel, a big potential villain. I can see him causing a stir. And keep in mind, he also tried to run the home run throwback last year in the Monday night game. He tried to literally execute it like a fucking scumbag. Absolute scumbag. You're telling me that there's nothing more villainous than running a play where you previously cheated against the Bills. Okay.
That's ridiculous. It's bold.
Okay. Now, this is where I'm getting a little crazy. This is someone that I just think, here's the thing. I'll admit it because it's not going to get back to me, and it will get back to me probably. I was going to go Julian Edelman because he's just such a scumbag, and he's part of Patriots Nation. Yeah. I'm going to go with the safer pick. He has been working out. This is actually number 10 overall, but I am going to go with McCorkle
Skinny
Jones.
Mac.
He was absolutely getting crowned last year with all of his, with just handing the ball off and basically running play action plays for 7 yards and not throwing any touchdowns to that one guy on the Patriots. I can't remember his name. He has 800 yards every year, but he's never caught a touchdown. Jacoby Myers, maybe. Yeah. But long story short, yes, Mac Jones, piece of shit. Hate him. Won a game against the Bills where he didn't have to throw the ball. Makes me hate him. Mac Jones, number 10 overall.
He was next up on my board.
That's fantastic. He was not next up on my board. I'm going to round it out, come back to human beings, go back with a football player. This is more of a potential pick. It's also more of just what I'm most terrified as a villain, like the villain that's looming that I'm most terrified about. It's Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, it's been brewing. We already had the playoff matchup, already had a great game the year before that. I've had that week 5 game circled since the schedule came out. And I'm just really high on the Ravens in general this year and feel like, maybe with Tyreek Hill gone, who knows what happens if there's any kind of step back or just step back in record with the AFC West being so tough for Kansas City. Before Lamar got hurt last year, that team was running away with the number 1 seed and would have been a force in the playoffs again. And I just feel like he's going to come back. I love contract year football players, basketball players, any sport. Contract year guys always ball out. And Lamar, famously right now, does not have an extension yet with Baltimore. So there's all the motivation, the Twitter going after guys on Twitter left and right. That was just cracking me up last night. I just feel like he's due for a big bounce back. And once he starts popping off, Bills fans and the team in general are going to start being I'm more scared of him in that kind of situation, honestly, at this point, just because it's the unknown of what you can get with those games.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. The other thing, too, if you want to add to the villainous factor, he has an MVP and Josh Allen doesn't.
That's facts.
It's facts.
Very villainous, very villainous.
All right, so am I here to close it out?
Well, here's the thing. Before we do this, did you guys want to go one more round? I'm down to, but we don't have to.
I could, but I have someone I want to
We'll go with our honorable mention. We'll go with honorable mention. But this is the last one.
This would be my pick, but I don't want to throw it on the graphic and have any refs in Bills Mafia. So it's going to be honorable mention. We'll talk about it. I'm going to take with my final pick is just overconfidence. We saw flashes of it last year, players getting cocky, things like that. Sometimes coming back to bite us in the butt a little bit. Obviously, we bounce back. But the confidence is at an all-time high. People are labeling this, the biggest Bills season in 30 years, which I agree. It is the biggest Bills season. There hasn't been this much hype behind us, this much national support behind us. Everything is lining up for the Bills to be a Super Bowl team. But I hate saying that. That's the thing. It's so much confidence. I look at the schedule. I see the Bills winning every single game. That's not going to happen. I mean, it might happen. That'd be awesome. But, we have so much confidence and so much hype for a team that hasn't won anything yet.
Nothing.
We have not won anything.
In a conference, yeah.
We didn't even make it to the AFC Championship game last year. We're the clear-cut Super Bowl favorite. I know people aren't even arguing that Josh Allen's not the best quarterback in the league. It's just Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league. It's there is an argument there. Now, I think he is, but it's just crazy. It's kind of insane. I like it because I don't have to be upset all the time and arguing points and pulling up crazy advanced stats to, validate Josh Allen's play. But it's a little much, I feel like.
If the Bills, if it wasn't my favorite team and it was another team in this scenario, say swap the Bengals for the exact last 2 years, and this is the scenario, I would be roasting all Bengals fans and roasting Bengals, being you're a fraud-ass team. 100%. And that's what scares me the most. It's been eerily quiet. Everybody's super sure of it and everything. Exactly what you said. That's a great, great pick.
We need more bulletin board material.
Oh, hey, so what did you guys have on the rest of your board here?
Jake, you give yours first. Your honorable mentions.
This is I didn't pick this in the thing because it's a large group of people, and it's kind of a more actual thing I'm scared of, and I kind of wanted to go off the wall a little bit more. Number 2 receivers is one of the biggest villains, I think, going into this year. I am so terrified of, and you brought up Jalen Waddle, and he is the biggest case of number 2 receivers that I'm terrified in matchups this year. First of all, Tre'Davious, everybody thinks he's going to come back healthy. I'm still optimistic that he is. Everything else, whatever. I don't think
we sing till Halloween.
But it's always an adjustment coming back from the ACL. Even if you're at tippy top shape, it's never 100%.
And then we have coaching staff not going to rush their stars.
As good as Kaiir Elam could be, even at his tippy top, he's still going to have moments that he's a rookie in games, no matter what. And Dane Jackson, we've seen I think Dane Jackson is what he is. So number 2 receivers, I think, honestly, sneakily in fantasy, everything else, that's what I'm kind of scared of. But I didn't want to pick 32 players in the league. So
Yeah.
I agree. I think that one that probably was a fringe as a player, Derrick Henry. He's had some success against the Bills. Obviously, the Titans are a threat there. The other two I had Mike Rodak because he could distract Bills Mafia, and Jerry Sullivan because he's proven he can cause frustration in our secondary, and not
That's
many
good.
other people have.
Jerry would have been
I like that.
Great time with our villain draft. We are going to get the guy, and we're going to see who Twitter thinks or who Instagram thinks, who Facebook thinks has the best villains. But that was awesome. We'll keep rolling with that. Obviously, the drafts keep rolling on here. The Crowd Assist podcast brought to you by Outlet Liquor. But getting into it, I think that just puts a wrap on this week's episode. But last but not least, Merekat's Isaiah Hodgins.
Beautiful.
So cool.
Things you love to see. Things you
love to see. I've got, a lot of cool opportunities to meet a lot of, big athletes, interview big time guys, like a lot of cool stuff. But I have been chasing an interaction with Isaiah Hodgins since he's been a Buffalo Bill. I'm his biggest supporter, his biggest fan. I got his jersey, his Oregon State Go Beavs jersey. I love it. And those 3 emojis he tweeted back at me meant the absolute world. This is the year, Hodge Daddy. Let's go. # wide receiver 4. Those 3 emojis changed my life.
What a moment.
I can see Hodgins. 7 targets in the AFC Championship, 102 yards, 2 TDs. Let's go. We're going to the Super Bowl.
This is the year, baby.
Folks, this is the year. That's what makes it so exciting. All the run up to training camp, all the run up to preseason, and then finally the season just about 56 days away at this point. Make sure you are subscribed. Crowd Assist Podcast on anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, anywhere at all. Huge shout out to our panel. Your friend, Jake, my friend, our friend, Jake Majka, the Cat Daddy, Merekat, and of course, myself, Maniac. Because, it's about 3 words when it comes to getting stops at one Bills drive, when it comes to changing the game, and when it comes to getting W's, the Crowd Assist Podcast. Good night.
Night.
Now.